I love RPGs. I grew up on them, playing games like the Lunar series, Suikoden, Shadow Hearts, the Final Fantasies. I ate them all up as a kid. So these days, a good RPG, particularly a good JRPG, just hits differently for me. They can really be like comfort games, but sometimes I struggle with them. I recognize that while the game is in theory good, it's also a lot for me, and I don't even know where to begin. Yes, this is a video about the Trails games. Nihon Falcom's Trails series started with 2004's Trails in the Sky, with the latest release being 2024's Trails Beyond the Horizon. And while the Japanese audience has been all over it, it's had something of an iffy release and reception overseas, like a slow start. Trails in the Sky was released in 2011 in the West on the PSP and didn't sell too well because, well, the PSP. It was later re-released on the PC in 2014, with the second game releasing in 2015, nearly 9 years after its original release. And then they skipped over a whole set of games and jumped to the Cold Steel arc in 2015. Yeah, they'd eventually release those in 2022 on the PS4 and the Switch. Also, there's a third chapter, there's Trails in this. It's a lot. There are currently 13 games in the main Trails series, and like I said, it's a lot since they build on each other. A part of the appeal of this series is how you see the world grow as you play through the games. But on the flip side, if you haven't played the earlier games, it's hard to really find a point to jump in, and it can get overwhelming. Anyway, I'm a person who's been perpetually overwhelmed by this series, but I freaking loved Trails in the Sky first chapter. So let's talk about it. Before I touch on Trails in the Sky first chapter, which I'll just refer to as Trails in the Sky going forward because dang, that's a mouthful, I do want to touch on my own personal history with the series. My good friend Rin, who is also fact-checking this video for me, thanks bud, has been a fan of these games for what seems like forever. And after many years of her talking up the games, I finally broke down and got the first Cold Steel game. And I wasn't a huge fan of it. I liked some of the characters and the world seemed interesting, but it was overwhelming. I was confused. And it was only in the last hour of the game that I actually really got invested. Enough that I picked up the rest of the games in the Cold Steel series. So I have played through most of the Erebonia arc. And my verdict was, I thought the world was interesting, and there were parts of the storytelling that I found fascinating, but again, it was really, really overwhelming. The first game in the entire series, the original Trails in the Sky, was out on Steam, but okay, it's a port of the game from the mid-2000s, and it shows. So I picked up the Crossbell arc when it came out and got about halfway through before I felt, overwhelmed. Even with Daybreak, which is mostly a clean start to the series, I couldn't get over this niggling feeling that I was missing something that was keeping me from connecting with this world. Maybe these games weren't for me, despite the fact that I own, 8 of them by now. So when they announced a remake of Trails in the Sky, I was tentatively excited. Maybe this was what I was missing. Or maybe it was sunk cost fallacy because, man, how long have I spent playing these games? I didn't get around to playing it until the holidays, when I finally had a bit of spare time, though that was mostly because I was sick and stuck in bed. And y'all, this game is good. I'm partially making this video because I feel like this game got lost amidst the other releases that came out in the fall of 2025. And honestly, 2025 was a stacked year, especially for RPGs. The Trails series can be extremely overwhelming to the average gamer given how many games there are and the fact that the names of them don't exactly tell you where to start, or which one to start with to try and see if you'd be down with them. I mean, calling the remake the first chapter does help, sort of. Anyway, there won't be any spoilers for the game here for the record, or the series as a whole. Because it's the first game, it starts out fairly simple. It lays things out well in a way you can understand. The magic system, to me at least, appeared convoluted in later games. Cold Steel. It's always Cold Steel. But they simplify it here and make it easy to understand. And the world itself feels lived in, but not overwhelming this time. Partially because it takes place in the small country of Liberl and focuses primarily on that without giving too much emphasis on the geopolitical situation for the most part. It's the best introduction to the world, which makes sense given that it's the very first game in the series and, in theory, things are simpler. I say in theory because, knowing what comes in later games, it's very clear that the groundwork for the lore has already been laid out. And that's pretty cool. But while we're made aware of other countries like Erebonia and Calvard, and we learn about liberals' rocky history with Erebonia, the action and the focus is primarily on liberal. Yes, there are some political tensions, but they don't expand beyond the borders this time. Something that got talked about a lot when the game came out in English for the first time on the PSP was just how much text there was in it. According to reports, the game's script had 1.5 million Japanese characters in it. It's a big game with a lot of reading, and while, RPG fans are known to dig in and curl up with a good RPG like a book, that's still huge. To compare it to something else that people might know, Final Fantasy XII had about half the amount of text that Trails in the Sky had. These games can have a lot of reading in addition to gameplay. You're not gonna see it all. Most of them are gonna be in books or whatever that you pick up and probably won't read. Which is why it's so good that there's a ton of voice acting in the remake. I feel like 80% of the game has voice acting. Probably more, but 80 is a fair number. And the English cast, in my opinion, knocks it out of the park. The text has a lot of nuance to it, and the voice director, Mark Hawes, really nailed it with the direction he gave to such a talented cast of actors. The voiceover really helps get the feel of the game across more. If that makes sense, sometimes voiceover can detract or distract from the vibe of a game, oddly enough. Here, it just enhances it. This is all to say that while the game can appear overwhelming just by the merit of being a part of this expansive franchise that is known for having enough yapping to put a Yakuza game to shame, Trails in the Sky is a great experience on its own. You can go into it with no prior knowledge of the series because, it's the first game in the series. It's not going to overwhelm you with a bunch of things, and you're not going to feel like you're maybe missing something. But you can also treat it like a complete game, albeit one with a killer hook for a sequel, which you will want to play. You don't have to invest in 8 or 10 or however many games there are now in the series if you don't want to. You can settle in for the ride the game gives you and call it a day. And as for the gameplay, it just rules. The battle system feels so dynamic and smooth. The fights in the original were what made it difficult for me to get through the game, which I alluded to earlier. Even with my characters insanely leveled, it felt like I was trudging through molasses at times, just trying to get through things. You'd run, get attacked by an enemy, transition to a battle scene, and fight. Wash, rinse, repeat. And a lot of these areas were chock full of enemy encounters. Here, the game borrows from the system used in the Trails Through Daybreak games, where you can quick battle and then seamlessly transition into turn-based battles with the push of a button. In fact, it becomes a strategic sort of thing, where you can stack bonuses and boost the experience you get. It feels better and more responsive, and as a result, battles no longer feel like a chore, even as I'm beating up the bajillionth bug I've seen on this stupid road, or whatever. I mean, it also helps that you can easily run from enemies if you don't feel like fighting. That's cool. Another benefit is that Trails in the Sky implemented high-speed mode, which is a feature that they started putting in with the Cold Steel series. If battles or dungeons get tedious, you can use it to speed things up and make progress. Oddly enough, while I abused the heck out of it during the Cold Steel games, I didn't use it terribly much during Trails in the Sky. I found that the game running as normal was perfectly fine. The most I used it for was when I had to backtrack during dungeons or I was exploring and uncovering the map in areas. Side quests have also become that much more accessible in this game. A complaint I have a lot with side quests in games is that it feels like the game is wasting your time. Yeah, okay, they're put in to pad the game and you don't have to do them, but you should because resources are a big thing in these games and you get some good stuff completing them. I feel like in Cold Steel 1, I was forced to do some of them, and I grew bitter towards the game because it didn't feel like it added much to it. A complaint I also had with some games is how they'd hide the side quests. Sure, you were rewarded for exploring, but what if you missed them? There were times when you'd feel like you were missing out entirely. Once again, we are talking about the first Cold Steel game. Imagine that. I swear I liked that game. In the end. Probably. I actually don't like playing games with a guide open, so I appreciate the game itself marking the side quest points on my map, allowing me to seek them out if I wanted to. It's a notification, but it's not holding your hand or beating you into it. As a result, I experienced more of the game than I would have normally, and man, it's real good. And how smart is it for them to have announced that the second chapter is coming out roughly a year after the first one? This appears to be what they've done a lot in Japan, where if one of the Trails games had a cliffhanger of sorts, you'd only have to wait a year-ish for the resolution. It's been a bit rough in the West in terms of when we'd get them. Sometimes they'd come quickly, and sometimes, you know. This time, however, they appear to be ready for a global release of the second chapter, which is a remake of the second Trails in the Sky game. And that is wonderful. Finally, in the year of our Lord 2026. But seriously, it is incredible. I love this game. I love just how much heart it has and how the world feels in without feeling completely overwhelming. It has retroactively made some of the other games in the series that I've played that much better now that I not only understand the world more, but I feel more immersed in it and therefore accepting of it. And honestly, for a JRPG, it's really not that long. How Long to Beat puts it at roughly 40 hours, and my save file hit that mark or thereabouts. But it didn't feel that long. Maybe it's because I played it when I wasn't able to do much else, but also the game never ever felt like a chore. I never felt like setting it down and wandering off for months at a time like I do with some other games. Heck, I kind of want to try and get the platinum trophy with this game. I feel like that's doable without being a massive time sink. What I'm saying is, if you're into RPGs and are looking for a game to get into, give the Trails in the Sky remake a try. It's genuinely one of the most fun games I played in the last year, and it would be a shame for it to get overlooked in such a crowded field. I promise, you're in for a good time, and you don't have to sign up for the Lord of the Rings of games. A pinky promise. Thank you guys so much for watching. If this is your first time seeing one of my videos, hi! I'm Jury, and I'm a variety streamer here on YouTube and Twitch. I put out edited content like this from time to time, as I love yapping about media, particularly video games and my feelings about them. If you like what I'm doing, please consider subscribing, liking the video, and dropping a comment in the comment section below. Thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next video. Aw, frick. I'm sick while recording this, but I'm recording it now because my voice is still here. And I'm afraid I'm gonna sneeze halfway through.